Everything your history teacher told you about Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X was a lie. Designed to keep you weak, divided, and powerless. The truth died with them in 1965 and 1968, and that was exactly the plan. The FBI tried to blackmail King into ending his life. Malcolm X's convicted assassins were innocent, and the government knew it for 56 years. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are documented facts your textbooks deliberately left out. Because if you understood who Malcolm and Martin really were and how close they came to uniting, you'd realize the entire story was designed to keep Black America from ever building real power. The peaceful dreamer versus the violent radical. Enemies fighting for opposite visions. This story was manufactured to make sure the most dangerous alliance in American history could never happen. Today, I'm exposing 6 lies that have kept us divided for 60 years. 1955. Emmett Till, a 14-year-old black boy from Chicago, was beaten and killed in Mississippi for allegedly whistling at a white woman. His killers were acquitted by an all-white jury in 67 minutes. A year later, Look magazine paid them $4,000 to confess. His mother held an open casket funeral. 50,000 people came. Jet magazine published the photos. Black America saw the truth, and something broke. This was the America where entire black communities were burned to ash while police watched, where a black child could be killed and his killers could profit from it. Into this stepped 2 warriors who would terrify the power structure more than any foreign enemy. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. The system made sure neither would live to see 40. Before we continue, if you believe these hidden histories need to be told, subscribe to Black Stories Untold and help us spread the truth they don't want you to know. Now, on to the lies white America has been feeding you for 6 decades. Lie number 1. They were total opposites. Your history teacher gave you the easy story. Martin was good, peaceful, patient. Malcolm was dangerous, angry, violent. Secret FBI documents prove the Bureau created this division on purpose. FBI agents running COINTELPRO planted fake stories claiming Malcolm called King a traitor. They sent anonymous letters trying to start fights. FBI memos from 1964 spell out their goal: prevent the coalition of militant black nationalist groups, and prevent the rise of a messiah who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement. Malcolm and Martin weren't opposites. They were 2 sides of the same revolution. When Malcolm said, "by any means necessary," in June 1964, he was responding to 4 black girls: Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, and Denise McNair, killed by a bomb at Birmingham's 16th Street Baptist Church. Malcolm argued black communities had the right to arm themselves when the government wouldn't protect them. King's nonviolence was equally strategic. In Birmingham 1963, he filled the jails with protesters until businesses couldn't function and the city started bleeding money. When Bull Connor unleashed dogs and fire hoses on teenagers, the images exposed American brutality worldwide. Both men understood power, and the moment their hands reached toward each other, both had to die. Lie number 2. Malcolm X was just an angry militant. Malcolm Little was 6 years old when his father's body was found on streetcar tracks in Lansing, Michigan in 1931. The family believed violent extremists from a hate group called the Black Legion killed him because Earl was organizing for Marcus Garvey. The insurance company ruled it self-inflicted to deny benefits. His mother struggled alone with 7 children. In 1938, she had a mental breakdown and was committed to Kalamazoo State Hospital for 24 years. Malcolm was 13 when he and his siblings were scattered into foster homes. At age 20, Malcolm was sentenced to 8 to 10 years for burglary. In prison, he copied the entire dictionary by hand, read Kant, Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, transformed himself from a street hustler into a scholar who would speak at Harvard and Oxford. When he joined the Nation of Islam in 1952, he built an empire. The NOI had about 500 members. By 1963, Malcolm grew it to 100,000. He recruited Muhammad Ali, founded Muhammad Speaks newspaper, reaching 600,000 circulation. He was building black power that didn't need white approval. But here's what destroys the angry militant lie. In 1964, Malcolm left the nation and went to Mecca. He wrote, "I saw tens of thousands of pilgrims from all over the world. They were of all colors, but we were all participating in the same ritual, displaying a spirit of unity and brotherhood." He founded the Organization of Afro-American Unity and started building bridges. In January 1965, while King was locked in a Selma jail, Malcolm traveled to Selma. He met privately with Coretta Scott King and told her, "I want Dr. King to know that I didn't come to Selma to make his job difficult. I really did come thinking that I could make it easier. If the white people realize what the alternative is, perhaps they will be more willing to hear Dr. King." He told a gathering at a Congress of Racial Equality meeting, "We want freedom now, but we're not going to get it saying we shall overcome. We've got to fight to overcome." 3 weeks later, on February 21st, 1965, Malcolm was assassinated while giving a speech at the Audubon Ballroom in Harlem. But Malcolm wasn't the only revolutionary they were rewriting into a cartoon. Lie number 3. Martin was just a peaceful dreamer. Born Michael King Jr. in Atlanta in 1929, Martin grew up watching his father challenge white authority from the pulpit. In December 1955, when Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her bus seat, the 26-year-old King helped organize what became a 381-day boycott of Montgomery's bus system. The black community made up 75% of bus ridership. They crippled the city's transportation revenue for more than a year. King and other organizers arranged carpools and coordinated rides, while the city arrested him and 88 others for conspiracy to interfere with a business. The boycott held. By December 1956, the Supreme Court ruled Alabama's bus segregation laws unconstitutional. They froze King in 1963 with "I Have a Dream" and hoped you'd never learn what came after. On April 4, 1967, exactly 1 year before his assassination, King stood in Riverside Church in New York City and delivered "Beyond Vietnam," a time to break silence. He called the United States government the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today and connected the dots between racism, capitalism, and militarism. He described how America was taking the black young men who had been crippled by our society and sending them 8,000 miles away to guarantee liberties in Southeast Asia, which they had not found in Southwest Georgia and East Harlem. He demanded America undergo a radical revolution of values and shift from a thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. The backlash was instant and brutal. The Washington Post published an editorial titled "A Tragedy," saying King had diminished his usefulness to his cause, to his country, and to his people. The New York Times accused him of linking two public problems that are distinct and separate. The NAACP passed a resolution condemning King's anti-war stance. Civil rights leader Ralph Bunche accused him of making a serious tactical mistake. King lost allies, donations dried up, and the FBI marked him for destruction. But he pushed forward anyway. In December 1967, he announced the Poor People's Campaign, a plan to bring 3,000 poor people of all races to Washington, D.C. to occupy the National Mall until Congress passed an economic Bill of Rights guaranteeing employment, a living wage, and housing. They would build Resurrection City, a shantytown on federal land, and refuse to leave until their demands were met. This wasn't about asking nicely anymore. This was about forcing the government's hand through economic disruption. King was killed in Memphis on April 4, 1968, while organizing striking sanitation workers. But here's the lie that made it all possible. The lie that kept these two giants from ever joining forces. Lie number 4. They hated each other. March 25, 1964, U.S. Capitol Building. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. met for the first and only time. Both were attending Senate hearings on the Civil Rights Act. After King finished the press conference, Malcolm approached him in the hallway. They shook hands, exchanged pleasantries. Photographers captured one image of them smiling together. The entire encounter lasted less than a minute, but the media spun this into a decades-long rivalry that kept Black America divided over whose tactics to follow. Secret FBI documents reveal the truth. The Bureau worked deliberately to prevent any alliance. COINTELPRO memos from 1964 describe operations to prevent the coalition of militant Black nationalist groups, and specifically to keep Malcolm's followers from joining forces with King's movement. After Malcolm's assassination, King wrote to Malcolm's widow, Betty Shabazz, "While we did not always see eye to eye on methods to solve the race problem, I always had a deep affection for Malcolm and felt that he had the great ability to put his finger on the existence and root of the problem." By early 1965, both men were moving toward the same revolutionary understanding. Malcolm was reaching out to SNCC organizers like John Lewis and Fannie Lou Hamer, offering his organization as support for the more militant civil rights workers who were tired of getting beaten without fighting back. King was connecting domestic racism to American imperialism and calling for fundamental economic restructuring. They were converging on a shared truth. The enemy wasn't just segregation laws, but the entire capitalist system that required Black oppression to function properly. Imagine if they'd united. Malcolm's organizing with King's authority, Malcolm's international connections with King's churches, Malcolm's self-defense with King's ability to expose white violence. That would have been unstoppable. The government knew it. That's why neither man lived to see it happen.
Lie number 5. Their deaths were tragic coincidences.
The FBI began watching King in December 1955, the exact month the Montgomery boycott started. By 1963, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover had personally authorized wiretaps on King's phones and bugs in his hotel rooms. On November 21, 1964, just days after King won the Nobel Peace Prize, the FBI mailed an anonymous package to King's home. It contained a tape recording of King in various hotel rooms obtained through illegal surveillance. The letter that came with it, later confirmed to be from the FBI, was read by King and his staff as a threat, telling him to delete himself before accepting his Nobel Prize. One line read, "There is only one way out for you. You better take it before your filthy, abnormal, fraudulent self is bared to the nation." The United States government tried to drive Martin Luther King Jr. to end his life. That's not speculation. That's documented fact the FBI admitted to.
Malcolm was equally targeted.
FBI files show the Bureau had planted informants inside the Nation of Islam since the 1950s. After Malcolm left the NOI in 1964, surveillance got even heavier. On February 21, 1965, Malcolm was assassinated at the Audubon Ballroom. 3 Nation of Islam members were arrested: Talmadge Hayer, Norman 3X Butler, and Thomas 15X Johnson. During the trial, Hayer confessed to the murder, but testified that Butler and Johnson were innocent and that his actual accomplices were not even on trial. Despite his testimony, all 3 men were convicted. Butler and Johnson maintained their innocence for decades. In 2021, 56 years later, a New York judge threw out their convictions, calling them a miscarriage of justice. The government knew they were innocent. They let 2 innocent Black men die in prison to hide the truth about who really killed Malcolm X. King was shot on April 4, 1968 in Memphis. James Earl Ray was convicted of the crime. But in 1999, the King family brought a civil case seeking answers. After a month-long trial, a Memphis jury unanimously found that King was assassinated as the result of a conspiracy involving the Memphis police, organized crime figures, and government agencies. Lloyd Jowers, who owned a bar below the rooming house where Ray allegedly shot from, testified that he was paid $100,000 by a Memphis produce dealer with organized crime connections to help arrange the assassination. Both men were under constant FBI surveillance. Both were targeted by COINTELPRO. Both were deemed threats to national security, not because they were violent, but because they were effective at organizing Black people to challenge the system. And the government benefited from both deaths.
Lie number 6.
Their legacies are taught accurately. After taking the lives of Malcolm and Martin, The government did something more clever than erasing them. They rewrote them into harmless symbols. Malcolm got frozen as the angry militant, his intellectual growth after Mecca deleted from textbooks. His final year reaching out to civil rights groups, building coalitions, and developing international solidarity networks? Gone from the story. They kept just enough of his militancy to scare people away from actually studying his political analysis of capitalism and imperialism. King got sanitized into a safe dreamer. His 1967 condemnation of America as the greatest purveyor of violence in the world? Erased. His demand for a radical revolution of values that would dismantle capitalism? Ignored. His Poor People's Campaign calling for wealth redistribution barely gets a mention. Corporate America now plasters his face on advertisements during MLK Day sales, offering discounts in his name. They've transformed a revolutionary who died organizing striking workers into a mascot for the system he fought against. This serves a purpose. A divided black movement arguing over whether to follow Malcolm or Martin stays weak and predictable. The sanitized King allows white liberals to celebrate civil rights without confronting their role in capitalism and ongoing oppression. The demonized Malcolm lets the media paint any black person demanding self-defense as an extremist who needs to be stopped. Meanwhile, the FBI admitted in 2018 that they watched Black Lives Matter using tactics identical to COINTELPRO. The war on black liberation never ended. The methods just got more sophisticated.
You've been lied to because the truth threatens power. Both understood racism, capitalism, and militarism were connected. Both moved toward unified action, combining moral pressure, economic disruption, self-defense, and international solidarity. Evidence strongly suggests government involvement, from surveillance and harassment to exonerated killers to the 1999 conspiracy verdict. To honor them means rejecting the lies. Read Malcolm's post-Mecca speeches. Read Beyond Vietnam. Understand their complete evolution. Refuse to choose between their strategies. Black liberation requires combining all approaches: protest and institution building, moral appeals and economic pressure, integration and self-determination, nonviolence and self-defense. Malcolm and Martin were killed, but their vision survives. Black people united across differences, economically independent, internationally connected, willing to fight for complete liberation by any means necessary. That vision still terrifies power, which is why we must speak it, teach it, and live it. If you want to resist the whitewashing of history, subscribe and share this video. Drop a comment telling me which lie shocked you most, and check out our other videos where we expose more revolutionaries the system tried to erase from history. This is Black Stories Untold, uncovering the truth